Choi has just been leaked as to be one of the next upcoming characters in Solo Leveling Arise, and here is why you should consider saving for her. So reason number one is going to be her actual kit, and shout out to Shiro. This is from their Twitter page, so I'll leave their Twitter page down in the description, so make sure you drop them a follow. And starting off, we have Choi performs a series of slashes at lightning speed, and then the user attacks by quickly charging and stabbing the target. And then next up we have Choi continuously slashes the enemy with a great sword of light, and then finishes the combo with a powerful strike. And then Choi delivers a powerful blow to the enemy with a sword imbued with the power of light. And then we'll also be able to see some of these animations right here from one of the trailers, I believe this was, from the Korean Netmarble YouTube channel. And although I don't think it's live currently, I think they might have deleted it, but you'll be able to see some of her animations right here, which do look absolutely fantastic, by the way. So you can see the flurry of slashes, she dashes through, she, I think, enhances her weapon as well. So that's when it says that she's imbuing it with light or whatever. Onto, I guess, the actual juicy stuff with her kit and actually what she does. So essentially, Choi is going to be able to mark targets, and then basically she'll be able to deal extra damage to those targets that have been marked by her. And then I think this is to do with the description of her skill, as it says the marking effect has a chance to be applied when Choi hits her target, even if it doesn't result in a crit. And then it says members of Choi's party also deal bonus damage when hitting marked targets as well. And then further down it does say that you do actually have to land a crit, as it says a chance to apply marking for an X amount of seconds, and then when Choi lands a critical hit, she'll be able to apply that marking. So which is why I think this paragraph up here is actually to do with a different skill instead. And then of course marked targets take an increased amount of damage when they are hit, and then it's not applied when they already have a mark. And then finally this could be her passive, maybe, I'm not so sure, which is called Eye of Light, which has a chance to apply an increased critical hit rate buff when Choi lands a core attack, which is amazing. And then reason number two is that she is going to potentially push a mono light based team, as apparently she is a light based character, which is going to be really, really cool, and it does make sense. And the reason for this is going to be especially to do with Min Byung-gu, as Min Byung-gu overall is just a fantastic support, as he increases the damage enemies take, as well as being able to heal. And yeah, all of that stuff is great. However, the best thing about him is going to be his ultimate skill, as essentially what he can do is apply this Heavenly Blessing buff to the entire team, which essentially says the user's damage dealt and critical hit rate increases by 12%, which is going to be absolutely fantastic, especially because Choi is also increasing her crit rate. It's just going to give you that extra amount of consistency, which is going to be amazing. And then not only that, when he is also disguised, which is also applied through his passive, as well as I believe one of his QTE skills as well, which I think it says here, you are going to then be able to apply a critical hit damage increase effect to your entire team, which is going to be equal to 40% of the amount that exceeded Min Byung-gu's basic critical hit damage. So not only is Min Byung-gu increasing just the flat damage, the crit rate, and also the crit damage, but he's just also got a bunch of stuff as well. And again, he's also a light character, so if Choi is going to be a light character, it's going to be amazing. And this is especially because once you have him at one dupe, all team members' critical hit rate and critical hit damage increase by 8% as well. So you're just getting a ton of crit rate, a ton of crit damage, just a ton of everything. And then the actual reason why Choi might push an actual mono light team is because once you have light team members, this will increase all the way up to a 12% increase instead of an 8%, which is also fantastic. So assuming Choi is going to be a fantastic crit DPS, you've got that, and then you've got Min Byung-gu for your damage support and also just supporting your health by healing as well. Then all you're missing is essentially just someone to do break damage to certain bosses as well. And then none other than Baek Yoon-ho is going to be the best character for that, as he has break damage not just pretty much on everything. He's got it on his basic attack, he's got it on his core attack, on his one of his basic skills, and on both of his basic skills, as well as his support skill, his QTE skill, and then just not on his ultimate. And then speaking of his ultimate, he also applies defense decrease as well, which is fantastic. And then what's so fantastic about the light element is that you just have so many options for you to use, as if you don't have Baek Yoon-ho, as this team that I've given of Choi, Min Byung-gu, and Baek Yoon-ho is essentially 3 SSR characters, so for a lot of people it's going to be very difficult to make. However, if we scroll down, you'll be able to see there's also Kim Chol and also Yoo Jin-ho. And I think Kim Chol is going to be the next best thing, the next best option for you to have, as also he is a tank as well as Jin-ho, as well as Baek Yoon-ho. And he also has a lot of break damage, just not on his basic attacks, as he's got it on his core attack, he's got it on his basic skills, on both of them, dealing light and heavy damage. He's also just very tanky. He stuns as well, which is fantastic. And then he can create shields as well as stunning again on his QTE skill. But my actual favorite thing about him is just going to be his ultimate, as you can create this shield zone, which is like a barrier that you'll just put around, which I can show you right here, which you'll be able to see in a second. So basically he'll like smack the ground with his shield, do damage, and then he puts up this shield zone, which will basically give your damage taken decreased by 30%, which is amazing, whilst also giving a shield that is equal to 25% of his defense to all allies as well, which makes your team just a lot tankier. And then Jinho is definitely by far the worst of the three that you can actually use, as he doesn't really do too much to support your team. He would just be there just to have the break damage and just to be able to have some extra crit stats from Min Byung-gu. You don't necessarily need a light tank or whatever, you just need someone that can do a lot of break damage. Literally anybody would do. And then the next reason why I think you should probably start saving for Choi is that I think she's going to be an absolutely fantastic character for things like encore missions as well as the instance dungeons. And starting off with the encore missions, the final boss, being the giant arachnid, has 178,000 power and is also weak to light damage, which is then obviously going to make Choi probably the main DPS for when you come to fight this boss, and especially it's going to help you a ton when you try and come to beat this boss when you're probably quite underpowered, as the final stage being 178,000 is going to take you quite a while to reach. So hopefully she can help aid you in being able to beat the stage whilst quite underpowered. And then we have all the other bosses, being the Cerberus as well as also the Viridescent Mage as well. None of these enemies are actually resistant to light damage, as the Snake Tusker is resistant to water, then you got wind, and then you've also got fire as well, which means she can also be playable and usable on all these stages as well. And then for instance dungeons, she's not going to be as useful, although it doesn't matter as much because you are going to be playing as Sung Jin-woo in these stages, as you'll see right here. And especially with this first boss being the Steel-Fanged Lycan being actually resistant to light damage, which is not great. However, the next boss after that, being Igris the Red, is actually weak to light damage. As if we come all the way to the story, go to Protector of the Throne, and then click replay on his fight, you'll be able to see the recommended attribute is actually light elements, because incoming light damage attacks deal 150% damage, which means Igris is actually going to be weak to this damage as well, which is going to be honestly really, really good, and it just overall makes her so useful for a lot of different PvE contents. And then the very final reason is the fact that the rated up or limited character that's currently out in Choi Jong-in is just not really worth pulling for. As don't get me wrong, he is a really good character, especially because you can get his weapon for free, so don't feel bad if you have actually pulled for him, because if you like him, then that's completely fine, because this is just a game at the end of the day, and fun is what matters the most. However, Choi is a fire-based character, and already for starters, you get given Chill Song for free, although I know in comparison, he's going to be nowhere near as good as Choi is. But there is also Emma Lawrence as well, who is probably one of the best characters in the game currently, I would say, at least from what I've seen so far, as she is just amazing as well, because just like Baek Yoonho, she has break damage on her basic attacks, and she just has a whole lot of different things as well. I think she has self-sustain, and she gives herself her ultimate gauge back as well, which is really, really cool. And she is just an extremely useful character in pretty much any piece of content, which just makes it so you don't necessarily need a character like Choi, which just doesn't make him very valuable. And because I'm going to assume that she is going to be just an actual attacker, we do only currently have two of them, being Dongsu and also Park Byung-shik, whereas we already do have a lot of mage type characters in the game, and because I'm going to make the assumption that she is going to be an attacker, it means there's not going to be many characters like her, which means she's going to be very unique, and especially when it comes to damage, she's definitely going to, hopefully, fingers crossed, be one of the best. So just a quick tip for all of you that might actually want to save for Choi is that basically when you're on the standard banner, always have Min Byung-gu rated up on it, because if you can get the one dupe of him, then you're going to have a fantastic time, because then you can get the crit rate and crit damage buff as well. So there you have it. That is why I think you should probably start saving for Choi. Now just remember, this is all just my opinion, this is not fact, alright? So just keep that in mind. And most of all, if you did enjoy this video or you found it useful or helpful, then don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace!